The hall was large and filled with soft golden light. Strange music played in the background. Aliens of many kinds stood in rows. Some had smooth skin like glass. Some had wings. Some had long necks and many eyes. They all wore long robes and bright stones on their heads. In the middle of the hall stood Ren, the human ambassador. He wore the dark blue uniform of Earth Council. He stood tall and calm, but his heart was beating fast. This was his first mission to the Varn Empire. He had trained for years. He had studied their language and customs, but nothing had prepared him for what came next. The Varn Emperor stood from his high seat. His voice echoed in the hall. We give this gift to the human people, a symbol of our trust. A sign of friendship. The guards stepped forward. Between them was a young woman. She walked slowly, her head low. Her skin was soft green. Her eyes were bright silver. Her long dark hair touched her waist. She wore a thin white cloth with gold lines. She did not speak. She is Sela, the emperor said. Of the Carey race, raised in the royal house, trained to serve, and felt cold inside. A gift, a living person. He had read of this custom, but he thought it had ended long ago. He looked at Sela. She did not look up. She stood still like a statue. The hall waited. Everyone stared at her. He gave a small bow. I accept this gift with honor, he said softly. But inside he felt something break. Later in his guest room, Ren stood by the window. Stars shone in the black sky. Ships moved like tiny lights. He could not stop thinking about the moment in the hall. He had accepted her because it was the only way to avoid disrespect. But he had no idea what to do next. Sela stood near the wall. Her hands were folded. She had not spoken a word since they left the hall. You can sit, Ren said gently. She moved and sat on the floor. No. He said, not there on the couch, please. She looked confused, but did as he asked. She sat with her back straight. Her eyes looked ahead, but not at him. You are safe here, Ren said. Still, she did not speak. You do not have to serve me. He added, you are not my property, you are a person. She turned her head slightly, but I was given to you. Yes, I know, but I will not hurt you. I will not use you. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked in a soft voice, I was a gift human. Why haven't you touched me yet? Ren looked at her. Her face was calm, but her eyes were asking something deeper than words. I do not want to touch someone who does not want it, he said. You are not a thing. You are not made for others to use. Sela seemed confused. She looked down at her hands. But this is my purpose, she said. I was trained to be a gift, to bring comfort, to follow commands. That is not your purpose anymore. Ren said, you can choose your own path now. She looked up at him. This time their eyes met. I do not know how to choose. Then we will start small. Ren said, would you like tea or water or food? She thought for a moment. Water. Ren smiled gently. Good, that is your first choice. He brought her a glass of water. She held it in both hands and looked at it as if it were something new. Then she drank slowly. She placed the empty glass down and sat quietly. You can also choose your name if you want, Ren said. You do not have to be Sela unless you like it. It was given to me by the royal house, she said. Then it is yours only if you want it to be, he replied. Sela stayed quiet. Her fingers played with the edge of her robe. She seemed unsure. I will think about it, she said. That is all I ask. Ren said, you are free here, not as a gift, but as a guest. She looked around the room. It was warm and full of books and earth objects. She had never seen such a space before. Thank you, she said quietly. Ren nodded and stepped away to give her space. He sat by his desk and began to write a report for Earth Council. But his thoughts kept returning to the young woman on the couch. Had been given like a tool. Yet her voice held something more in it, fear and anger, but a quiet question only that he could not forget. Had he not touched her and now understood the true meaning of her question? She was not asking about touch, was asking if she mattered. The next morning, Ren woke early. The room was quiet. He looked toward the couch. Sela was sitting there with her hands in her lap. She had not moved much. Her eyes were open, watching the sky through the window. Good morning, Ren said kindly. She turned her head slowly. Good morning, she replied, her voice soft. Did you sleep? He asked. I do not know, she said. I closed my eyes, but my mind was full. Ren nodded. He understood. This place was new for her. Everything around her had changed in one day. I made breakfast, Ren said. Would you like to eat? Sela stood up. I will eat if you wish. Ren gave a short smile. Not because. I wish, only if you want to. Scylla paused. Her eyes searched his face. Then I will eat, she said. I think I want to try. They sat at a small table. Ren gave her a plate of fruit and bread. Scylla picked up a small red fruit and looked at it carefully. Then she took a bite. Her eyes widened a little. It was sweet. She took another bite, slower this time. This is good, she said. I'm glad, Ren said. That is called a berry. It comes from Earth, Perth, she repeated. You were born there. Yes, he said. It is a blue planet, with oceans and forests and many people. Scylla was quiet for a while. She ate slowly and watched Ren with interest. Do you miss it? She asked. Yes, Ren said. Sometimes. But I came here for a reason. To bring peace. To build trust. Scylla nodded. And they gave me to you as a gift of trust. Ren looked down at his plate. That part I did not expect. I was raised to be given, she said. We were told that it is an honor, that we are lucky. Do you believe that? Ren asked. I don't know, she said. Before yesterday, I had never spoken to someone who asked me what I wanted. Ren looked at her gently. You can ask questions too. Scylla thought. About that, why are you kind to me? Because you deserve kindness, Ren said. She looked at her hands. That feels strange, like new shoes that do not fit. It will take time. He said, but you will grow into it. Later that day, Ren showed her around his guest quarters. There was a small library filled with Earth books and digital readers. There was a music player, a painting kit, and even a small indoor garden. Scylla walked slowly past the bookshelves. Her fingers brushed the spines. These are stories, she asked. Yes, Ren said. Some are history. Some are poems. Others are made-up tales. Can I read one? She asked. Of course, he said. Take any one you like. She chose a small book with a green cover. It had drawings of a tree on the front. She opened the first page and stared at the words. I do not know these letters. I can teach you. Ren said, if you want. She nodded. I want to learn. They sat together. Ren began with simple letters. ABC. Scylla watched carefully and repeated the shapes with her finger in the air. Her eyes were focused, her mind sharp. You learn fast, Ren said. I was trained to observe. She replied. Now you are learning to choose, he said. That evening, Scylla sat by the window again. She held the small book in her hands, even. Though she could not read it yet, the cover felt warm in her palms. She turned when Ren entered the room. Today was different, she said. In a good way? Ren asked. Yes, she replied. I like the fruit, and I like the letters. I'm glad, Ren said. Scylla looked at him for a moment. You said I can choose my name. Yes, he said. If you want one that is yours, she thought, quietly. Then she said, I will keep the name Scylla. Not because it was given, but because I want it. Ren smiled. Then Scylla it is. She looked outside. Stars were shining. Ships moved in the distance. I have a question, she said. Ask anything, Ren replied. If I learn to read and think and choose, what happens next? You decide, he said. You can return home if you wish. You can work, study, travel. Your life belongs to you. My life, she whispered, for the first time. The words sounded real. That night, Ren placed a new blanket on the couch and brought a small pillow. You do not have to sleep on the floor, he said. Scylla, touch the blanket. It was soft and warm. She sat down slowly. You are different from what I was told, she said. And so are you? Ren replied. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Scylla said, Thank you for letting me choose. Ren nodded. Thank you for choosing. Outside, the stars kept moving. But inside the room, something had changed. Scylla was no longer a gift. She was becoming someone with a voice, and that voice had only just begun to speak. Third-person simple basic English clean language days passed slowly inside the human guest quarters. Ren stayed busy with messages from Earth Council and meetings with Varn officials. But every free moment he gave to Scylla. He taught her more letters. She wrote her name for the first time. He played music from Earth. She learned how to move with rhythm. He showed her how to plant seeds in the indoor garden. She placed each one with care. One day, Ren brought a small painting kit. He handed her a brush. You can paint whatever you feel, he said. Sela looked unsure. What should I paint? Anything, Ren said. There's no rule, just feeling. She dipped the brush into blue and began to draw lines on the canvas. The picture had no shape at first, just colors. Then slowly, something began to appear. A house, a tree, a small figure under the sky. When she finished, she looked at it for a long time. I remember this, she said softly, from long ago, before the royal house. You were not born there, Ren asked. No, Sela said. I was taken as a child. I think my family lived near a river. Ren sat beside her. You remembered something that was yours? Sela nodded. Yes, I think I did. That evening, they attended a formal gathering. It was a quiet dinner with a few Varn nobles. Sela wore a silver robe. Her hair was tied back. Ren wore his earth uniform. As they entered the hall, the room grew silent. Many eyes watched Sela. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. One noble, a tall woman with blue eyes, stepped closer. Ambassador Ren. She said, You bring your gift as a guest. She is not a gift, Ren replied. She is my companion. The noble raised an eyebrow. You speak strangely for a human. Is she not here to serve? She is here by her own choice, Ren said. Sela stood tall beside him. She said nothing, but her silence was strong. It was not fear. It was control. The noble frowned but walked away. Later, a quiet voice reached Sela's ear. Another Carrie's servant, a girl no older than she was, passed by with a tray. You speak now? The girl whispered. Sela looked at her and gave a small nod. The girl smiled quickly and moved on. The next day, Sela sat in the garden. A small flower had begun to grow in the pot she planted. She touched its leaves gently. Ian joined her with a cup of tea. You were brave last night, he said. I only stood, Sela replied. Sometimes standing is the bravest thing, Ren said. She looked at him. That girl. She was Carrie. Like me. She noticed I spoke. She smiled. She saw something new, Ren said. You gave her hope. Sela thought about that. I was not trying to lead anyone. Sometimes change begins with one person, he said. In the following days, more quiet things began to happen. A Carrie cleaner left a flower outside Ren's door. A cook placed extra fruit on Sela's tray. A guard looked away when she walked into a restricted hallway. They said nothing out loud, but their silence held meaning. Ren noticed the change. They are watching you, he said. Sela nodded. They are listening too. One night, Sela asked for a candle. She placed it in a small bowl of water and set it in the center of the room. This is a memory light, she said, from my childhood. We use it to remember those who were lost. Ren sat beside her. Who are you remembering? My mother, Sela said. I do not know if she is alive, but I want to remember her face. Ren did not speak. He only listened. The candle flickered. The water stayed still. Later that week, Ren received a message from the Varn Council. They wanted to meet with him in private. At the meeting, the room was filled with high-ranking Varn officials. The Emperor's cousin, Lord Vexen, sat at the center. Ambassador Ren, Vexen said. We have a concern. Ren stood calmly. What kind of concern? You treat the gift with respect, Vexen said. This is strange to us. You give her power. You speak of freedom, because she is not a gift. Ren replied. She is a person. Vexen narrowed his eyes. The Carrie are not our equals. They were given to us long ago. This is our law. Then perhaps your law must change, Ren said. There was silence in the room. You risk our alliance, Vexen warned. I risk silence, Ren said. I will not support slavery. He left the room without waiting for permission. Back at the quarters, Sela saw the look on his face. You met the council, she said. Yes, Ren said. They are watching. Both of us. Sela looked down. Did I cause trouble? No, Ren said. You lit a fire. It will not be easy. But it is good. She sat quietly. Then she said, They will not change easily. No, Ren said. But even strong walls crack when the ground moves. Scylla reached for the book she had been practicing with. Her fingers moved over the letters. Then let us keep moving, she said. That night, Scylla walked through the halls. She stopped when she saw a group of Carrie's servants whispering in a corner. One of them stepped forward. You are the one who speaks. I am, Scylla said. You told the human you wanted to learn? Another asked. Yes. Can we learn? Too? Scylla paused. Then she said, come tomorrow. I will share what I know. The group nodded. As they left, one of them said, we thought we had no voice. Scylla replied, we do. We only forgot how to use it. Back in the room, Ren stood. At the window, he saw Scylla return. She looked calm, strong. They came to ask, she said. Who? Ren asked. The others, she replied. They want to learn. Ren smiled. Then you are not alone anymore. Scylla looked outside. The stars seemed closer now. Not just lights in the dark, but signs of something waiting. Not a gift, she whispered. A beginning. The air inside the guests' quarters felt quiet but full, like something was building. Even in the silence, Scylla sat at the table with 3 other Carrie. They had come early that morning. Just as they had promised, their hands were clean, their clothes plain, but their eyes were wide with hope. Ian watched from the other side of the room. He had given Scylla the space she needed. She was the one they had come to learn from, not him. Scylla pointed to the letters on a screen. This is A, she said. It is the first letter in the Earth language. The others repeated it softly. Scylla smiled. Good. This is B. They moved slowly, but with care. One girl, named Tira, struggled to shape a letter with her finger. It's hard, she said. You are still learning, Scylla said gently. You were never given this chance before. Now you have it. Tira tried again. This time the shape was better. Ren walked closer. Would you like paper to practice with? He asked. Scylla nodded. Yes, that would help. He brought out blank sheets and simple pens. The Carrie had never used tools like these. They held them carefully, almost with fear. But then they began to draw lines and letters. That morning passed like a spark in dry grass, quiet but full of fire. Later, Scylla sat alone in the garden. The small flower she had planted was growing taller. Its white petals had opened. She touched one and felt a soft breeze through the open window. A memory returned to her. She saw water, a wide river, trees with long roots, a house with smoke rising from the roof. She saw a woman's face, warm eyes, a soft voice, a hand brushing her hair. Scylla blinked. Her chest felt tight. I remember. She whispered. She stood up and walked into the room. Ren, she said, can I see Earth? He looked at her. Not in person yet, but I can show you pictures. He opened a large screen and typed a few commands. Images filled the screen. Oceans, mountains, cities full of light, forests with tall trees, snow falling on rooftops. Scylla stepped closer. It's beautiful, she said. It's home, Ren said. She pointed to a picture of children running through rain. Do they get to choose where to go? Yes, Ren said. They are free. Scylla touched the screen. We were told we had no place to go. Only the royal house. Ren paused. Do you want a place of your own? Yes, Scylla said. Not just for me. For all of us. Ren watched her. Her voice was stronger now. Her words were clear. I think your fire has begun to spread. He said. That evening, a small group of Carrie returned. This time, there were 5. They brought simple food, bread and warm soup. They shared it while sitting in a circle on the floor. Scylla told them about the Earth letters again. Then she told them about Earth itself. One of the older women, named Kavi, listened closely. On my planet, we had schools once, she said, before the Varn came. I was very young, but I remember stories. Scylla turned to her. Would you help us teach? Kavi smiled. I thought I had nothing left to give. Maybe I was wrong. The next day, the Emperor's guards arrived at the quarters. They carried a message for Ren, a command to appear before the council again. Alone Ian left, but not before speaking to Scylla. Do not be afraid, he told her. They cannot stop what has already begun. She nodded. We will keep learning. At the council hall, Ren stood tall. Lord Vexen spoke first. You continued to disturb our balance. I continued to respect life, Ren answered. You encourage rebellion. I encourage freedom. You insult our ways. I follow my own. The room grew cold. This must stop, Vexen said, or Earth's place here will be in danger. Ren looked around. Then your peace is built on silence, and silence never lasts. He left without waiting for a reply. That night, Ren returned to find the guests' quarters filled with quiet voices. The learning circle had grown. Sela looked up as he entered. Her eyes were bright. We now have 10, she said. They bring their own stories. Some remember home. Some want to read. Others just want to speak. You have started something powerful, Ren said. We started it together, she replied. She picked up a sheet of paper and handed it to him. A single word was written in careful letters. Ren read it, then looked at her. This is just the beginning. The next morning, a small fire broke out in the market district. A group of Carrie had refused to bow before a noble. The noble grew angry and shouted at them. Someone pushed back. Someone else threw a fruit. Then a torch fell. It was not planned. It was not war, but it was change. Whispers filled the palace. The Carrie are speaking. They are not afraid anymore. The human has poisoned them. Sela heard the news from Tira. Some were taken, Tira said. Others ran, but more are standing. Up, Sela sat very still. This is not what I wanted, she said. But it is what happens when people wake up, Kavi said. We must be careful, Ren said. The empire will not fall with a fire, but it may bend if the winds are strong. Sela looked at the flower in the pot. Its petals were wide now. We will not stop learning, she said, even if they close the doors. Ren nodded. Then I will help you keep them open. That night, Sela placed another candle in the water bowl. This time she did not light it alone. Each of the Carrie in the room held a small flame. Together, they lit the candle. Not for memory. But for what was coming. A red sun rose over the Varn capital. The city looked peaceful from the outside. But inside, things were changing. People were whispering in the halls. Guards stood more often at the corners. Servants looked each other in the eyes now, and they were not looking down. Sela stood near the window in Ren's guest room. She held a small folded paper in her hand. On it was written a word, hope. She had written it herself with her own hand. She looked at it often. Ian walked in with a message from Earth. His face was calm, but his eyes showed worry. What is it? Sela asked. They want to recall me, Ren said. Earth Council says I have caused too much trouble. The Varn are pressuring them. Sela looked down. They want to stop you. They want to silence me, he said. But I'm not leaving. Sela looked at him. What will happen if you stay? I don't know, Ren said. But I do know this. I will not walk away from you or from what is growing here. Sela nodded. Then we stand together. That afternoon, a royal ceremony was held in the main square. The emperor's court wanted to show that order was still strong. Nobles came dressed in gold. Soldiers lined the roads. Citizens watched in silence. Sela had been ordered to appear. A place was made for her on the steps of the Great Hall. She was expected to bow, to stand behind the nobles, to remain silent. But Sela did not bow. She walked up the steps and stood beside the emperor's throne. Gasps filled the air. The emperor turned toward her. His voice was cold. You forget your place. Sela looked straight ahead. I have found it. You were given as a gift, he said. You speak without permission. I am not a gift, she said. I am Carrie, and I am free. The nobles stood still. The guards looked confused. No one moved. Then Ren stepped forward from the crowd. He walked calmly up the steps and stood beside Sela. He raised his voice so all could hear. Earth does not accept slavery. Not with words. Not with silence. The crowd watched, frozen. Sela turned and looked at the gathering below. To those who serve in silence, we see you. To those who fear to speak, we hear you. You are not alone anymore. The emperor stood. His face showed anger, but his voice was quiet. You have brought shame upon this house. No, Sela said. I brought truth. She turned and walked down the steps. No one stopped her, not even the guards. Later, in the quiet of the guest quarters, Rin and Sella sat across from each other. They had said brave things, but both knew it was not over. You made history today, Rin said. I made a choice, Sella replied, and now others must choose to. That night, messages began to arrive from other parts of the city. From ships, from hidden rooms, a carry worker had refused to kneel. A servant had spoken the word free out loud. A small group had started writing letters in the Earth alphabet. The spark had become a flame. The next morning, Rin met with other ambassadors, some from distant planets, others from trading houses. A woman named Mira from the planet Della said, the Varn fear they are losing control. But they will not change unless we stand together. Rin nodded. Then let's stand. They began to speak of alliances, of trade, of protection for those who spoke out. Slowly, a plan formed, not a war, but something stronger. A voice across worlds. Back in the guest quarters, Sella met with a new group of carry. Some were older, some were young. One carried a child. Sella stood in front of them. You do not need permission to speak, she said. Your voice is already yours. You only need to use it. The child in the woman's arms reached out and touched Sella's hand. Sella smiled. Let this child grow up knowing no chains, no silence. They began to teach each other, to share stories, to speak names that had been hidden for years. And for the first time, the rooms echoed with laughter. But not everyone was happy. Lord Vexen stood before the Emperor in a dark hall. She must be stopped, he said. She spreads fire with every word. She was only a gift, the Emperor said. But now the gift has become a storm. Then we must end the storm, Vexen said. The Emperor nodded slowly. Watch them closely. We will not lose our power to a girl with letters. That night, Rin sat by the garden. Sella joined him. Do you regret staying? She asked. No, Rin said. This is where I belong. She looked up at the stars. Do you think others will join us? They already are, Rin said. You just cannot see them all yet. Sella looked at the flower pot. It now held 3 flowers. The others had planted seeds too. Even in stone, she said. Something can grow. Rin nodded. And nothing can stop a growing seed. They did not know what tomorrow would bring. But they knew who they were. Not gifts, not tools, people. And people, once awake, do not sleep again. The winds over the capital had changed, even though the sky was clear. There was a feeling in the air that something was moving. Not with weapons, not with fire, but with words. Sella now spent her days teaching and listening. More carry came each day, some from nearby houses, some from far places. They came with stories, names, dreams, and pain. They came with hope. They began calling themselves the Spoken. It was a simple name. It meant they were no longer silent. Ryan watched from a distance. He helped where he could. He made contact with human ships and other ambassadors. He sent messages through quiet networks. His work was not loud, but it was strong. One morning, Sella stood before a group of over 50 carry in an old hall offered by a demonstrator. This is not a war, she told them. We are not fighting with swords. We are speaking with truth. An older carry man named Sol raised his hand. But what if they stop listening? Then we speak louder. Sella said, until they cannot look away. Across the city, the nobles were restless. The Emperor called a private council. Lord Vexen stood beside him. His voice was sharp. They gather in secret. They spread Earth language. They are building something under our very eyes. The Emperor looked tired. His rule had been calm for many years, but now one voice had shaken the ground beneath him. They call her a leader, said another noble. A teacher, a guide. She is only one carry, said the Emperor. One girl. No, Vexen said. She is now the voice of many. That evening, Rin received a message from Earth Council. Return at once, the message said. Your actions risk peace with the Varn Empire. Rin read the words, then deleted the message. Peace built on silence was not peace at all. Sella joined him as he sat alone. They want you to leave. She asked. Yes, he said. But I won't. She sat beside him. They fear your voice, because it stands with ours. Ren nodded. Then we will speak together. The next day, the Spoken sent their first message to the Emperor. It was short and written in both Earth and Varn language. We did not ask for war. We asked to be seen. We asked to be heard. We asked to be free. The message spread quickly, printed on paper, sent through hidden networks, painted on walls. Even some Varn citizens began to whisper about it. Scylla was invited to speak at a neutral hall arranged by Earth and Delos diplomats. The room was filled, not just with Carrie, but with other species, traders, servants, a few brave. Varndire Ian stood by the door, watching, silent, proud. Scylla walked to the center of the room. I was given as a gift, she said. I was told to serve, to stay silent, to smile without meaning. But I have learned something. She paused. The room listened. I am not a gift. I am not an object. I am Carrie. I am alive. I remember where I came from, and I choose where I go. There was no shouting, no music, just quiet power in her words. She lifted a small card with the word free written on it. This is what I found, she said, and I offer it to all who want it. A soft wave of nods moved through the room. Afterward, one Varn scholar, an old man with silver lines on his robe, walked up to her. I once taught that your kind had no mind of their own, he said. I was wrong. You can help fix that, Scylla said. He bowed his head. Tell me where to begin. That night, the Emperor met with Lord Vexen once more. They write messages, Vexen said. They hold gatherings, even our own people. Begin to question. They offer no violence, the Emperor said. Only words. Words can break walls. Vexen said, we must answer. The next morning, the Spoken found one of their halls sealed by royal guards. They did not enter. They did not fight. They simply stood outside with signs in hand. One said, let us learn. Another said, truth is not a threat. The news spread faster than the guards could block it. Pictures were taken, stories shared. Other species in the Empire began asking questions. Why were the Carries silent for so long? What had been hidden? Who were the Spoken? Ren sat with Scylla that night. You have done more than speak, he said. You have moved hearts. Scylla looked out the window. I did not plan this. I only wanted to be seen. You are, Ren said, by more people than you know. She turned to him. Are you afraid? Yes, he said, but I'm more hopeful than afraid. Scylla held her hands together. Then we are ready. A message arrived from the Emperor the next day. You are called to speak before the Royal Council. You will be given 10 minutes. Come alone. Scylla read it twice. They want to control the story, Ren said. But you can still speak truth. I will go, she said. I will wait, Ren replied. The council hall was quiet when she entered. The nobles sat and rose. The Emperor looked down from his high seat. You were not born to stand here, Lord Vexen said. Neither were you. Scylla replied. There were quiet gasps in the room. The Emperor raised his hand. Speak. Scylla stepped forward. I come with no anger. I come with memory. And with hope. She placed a small flower on the floor. This is not war. This is a voice. And if you fear that voice, then perhaps it is time to listen. She turned and walked away. No one stopped her. That night, in the quiet of the garden, Scylla stood with Ren. You stood before power, he said. I stood for all of us, she replied. The stars above were calm, but below them, a voice had grown strong. War had begun, but not with fire, with words. The sun rose slowly over the new city. Its light touched the tall towers made of glass and stone. Birds flew across the sky. Children laughed in the streets below. People of many species walked side by side. No guards, no fear, just life. Scylla stood on a balcony looking down at the street. She wore a long white robe with a simple blue sash. Her hair had grown longer and was now tied behind her head. She looked peaceful, older, stronger. It had been 5 years since she stood before the Emperor's council. 5 years since she said, this is not war. This is a voice. Since then, much had changed. The Varn Empire had not fallen, but it had bent, slowly, carefully, The world had watched, and the words had spread farther than anyone expected. More Carrie had spoken, more allies had joined. A new planet had been given to the Carrie and other free peoples. It was called Avanes, meaning a place to begin. Ryan stepped out onto the balcony. He carried 2 cups of warm tea. He handed one to Sela. "You wake early," he said. "I like to see the sun rise," she said. "It reminds me that each day is new." They stood in silence for a moment. The city below was alive. "You were asked to speak again today," Ren said. Sela smiled. "Yes. The first Carrie Assembly, a place where we all speak freely. I still can't believe it. You helped build it," he said. "With words, with courage, with time." Sela looked at him. "You were there from the start." "You were the one who stood up," Ren said. She nodded. "I was afraid, but you still stood," Ren replied. "That's what made the difference." Later that morning, Sela entered a large round hall in the heart of the city. The assembly chamber was filled with voices, not shouting, not orders, just people talking. Carrie elders sat on soft benches. Young learners took notes. Teachers stood near tall screens showing maps, books, and messages from other planets. Flags of many worlds hung on the walls, and in the center stood a small platform. Sela walked to it and turned to face them. She took a deep breath. "I did not come to lead," she said. "I come to remember." The room fell quiet. "Years ago, I stood in a golden hall and was called a gift. I was told to serve, to obey, to stay silent. But someone listened when I spoke. And because of that, I learned I had a voice." She paused. "That voice did not start a war. It lit a fire. And that fire warmed others who had lived in the cold for too long." She looked at the young faces in the crowd. "Now we are here, not to rule, not to rise above others, but to walk beside them." She stepped down. The room stood in silence for a few seconds, then applause broke like a wave, a gentle, honest sound. Ryan stood near the door and watched. His eyes were full of quiet pride. After the speech, Sela walked through the gardens near the school. The pots were full of green trees and flowers. She passed a group of young children sitting under a tree. One of them saw her and stood. "Are you the one from the stories?" The child asked. "I don't know," Sela said with a smile. "What did the stories say?" "That you taught us to speak," the child said. "And that you used to be a gift." Sela sat beside them. "Yes, I was called that, but I gave that name back." "Why?" the child asked. "Because it was not mine," she said. "I wanted a name. I chose." "What name did you choose?" another child asked. "I chose Sela," she said, "because I wanted to be the first." Sela, who walked her own path. The children nodded. Then one of them said, "I want to choose a name too." "Then start thinking," Sela said. "Names are seeds. They grow into something strong." Later in the day, Ren and Sela stood near the landing station. A ship had arrived from Earth. Diplomats, teachers, artists, some were human, others were from different worlds. One of them, a young woman from Earth, stepped forward and said, "We came to learn from you." Sela smiled. "Then we welcome you. We were once learners too." The woman looked around. "It's hard to believe this place used to be empty." Sela looked at the sky. It was never truly empty. It was just waiting. As the sun began to set, Sela returned to her home. She placed a small candle in a bowl of water and lit it. The flame danced gently. Ren sat across from her. "You still light the candle?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Not for memory, for promise." They sat quietly. Sela looked at the flame. "Once, I asked you a question," she said. "Do you remember?" "I remember," Ren said. "I said, 'Why haven't you touched me yet?'" she said. Ren nodded. "Yes, I didn't know what I was really asking," Sela said. "I thought I was meant to be used, but I was really asking if I mattered." "You mattered from the start," Ren said. She looked at him and smiled. "Now I know." The stars rose high above the city of Avane. Below them, no one bowed. No one whispered in fear. People read books under lamps. They painted, sang, and taught their children. They told stories of a time when one person stood and others followed. And in every story, There was a voice. Not loud, not angry, just steady, and free.